Welcome to Lifeguard.
Hi guys, my name's Sky and I'm going to be teaching you the word of the day. Today's word is loyal, and that means giving or showing firm and constant support or allegiance to a person or institution.
Today's buddy check is I choose to be loyal to God, just like I'm loyal to this pool. I save people in it, I don't clean it. When you hear that whistle, stand up and say the buddy check. No bite out.
I choose to be loyal to God.
Hi, I'm Takugo. I'm going to tell you the memory verse. If we are faithless, he remains faithful, for he cannot disown himself. 2 Timothy 2:13. Don't forget, talk about it with your friends.
So today's word was loyalty, and today we're going to be talking about magnets because they kind of have a loyalty to each other. Every magnet has a north and a south pole end, and what's funny is you would think that the same type would be connected and be loyal to each other, but it's actually the opposite way around. It's the north and the south that are connected, and it doesn't ever go the other way around. Even if you try to connect the same sides, it'll always turn around and connect to the opposite side because they're loyal to each other. Okay? And we want to be like that in our lives. We want to be loyal to people. We want to be loyal to God and find God in wherever we can and connect to Him and be loyal to Him. And show the same thing to your friends because it's the right thing to do.
Alright, so we're talking about loyalty today, and we're going to be reading from 2 Samuel chapter 3, starting at verse 6, right where we finished off last week. And we're going to be talking about Abner. And if you remember last week, Abner was the one who set up the king of Israel, and then they fought against David and the people of Judah. And Abner didn't want to have to kill Joab's brother, but he ended up doing it anyway. You can watch the past video to hear that part of the story. And just so you know, some of the parts of this story are kind of bad, so just understand that, but I'm just going to read through. All right. So during the war between the house of Saul and the house of David, Abner had been strengthening his own position in the house of Saul. Now Saul had had a concubine named Rizpah, daughter of Aiah, and Ishbosheth said to Abner, "Why did you sleep with my father's concubine?" Abner was very angry because of what Ishbosheth said. So he answered, "Am I a dog's head on Judah's side? This very day I am loyal to the house of your father, Saul, and to his family and friends. I haven't handed you over to David, yet now you accuse me of an offense involving this woman. May God deal with Abner, be it ever so severely, if I do not do for David what the Lord promised him on oath, and transfer the kingdom from the house of Saul and establish David's throne over Israel and Judah from Dan to Beersheba." Ishbosheth did not dare say another word to Abner because he was afraid of him. So Abner was loyal to the side of Saul, to as much that he had put somebody else in charge and fought for that side and everything. And then they came and accused him of something that he's like, I didn't do it, and you're going to come to me and you're going to accuse me of it. So guess what? I'm going to go do what God said David was supposed to get, which is interesting because if you understand and know what God says is supposed to happen, why would you ever be against that? But even David was one to say Saul was anointed king, Saul was king, and we should honor him as that. So it's kind of an interesting time period and things that were going on here because of this transfer, and also because of the push that Israel had to want a king, even though God warned them against it. So then Abner sent messengers on his behalf to say to David, "Whose land is it? Make an agreement with me, and I will help you bring all Israel over to you." So Abner is basically saying, I'm no longer loyal to Saul's side. I want to be loyal to David's side. And in many ways, He's saying, I'm going to be loyal to God's side in doing that. Good, said David. I will make an agreement with you, but I demand one thing of you. Do not come into my presence unless you bring Michal, daughter of Saul, when you come to see me. Then David sent messengers to Ishbosheth, son of Saul, demanding, give me my wife, Michal, whom I betrothed to myself for the price of 100 Philistine foreskins. So Ishbosheth gave orders and had her taken away from her husband, Paltiel, son of Laish. Her husband, however, went with her, weeping behind her all the way to Burnham. And then Abner said to him, go back home. So he went back. Michal was promised to David by Saul, and David had to pay for her. And he did that by fighting Philistines. And so he was promised to her before she had a husband. Different time period, different understanding of how things worked, how marriages work, all of that. So understand that in this. But David wanted the promise fulfilled. And so he's saying, look, if you're going to come, if you're going to make peace with me, show me that you're going to go the extra mile and you're going to make sure promises are upheld. Abner conferred with the elders of Israel and said, for some time you have wanted to make David your king. Now do it, for the Lord promised David, by my servant David I will rescue my people Israel from the hand of the Philistines and from the hand of all their enemies. Abner also spoke to the Benjamites in person. Then he went to Hebron to tell David everything that Israel and the whole tribe of Benjamin wanted to do. When Abner, who had 20 men with him, came to David at Hebron, David prepared a feast for him and his men. And then Abner said to David, let me go at once and assemble all Israel for my lord the king, so that they may make a covenant with you, and that you may rule over all that your heart desires. So David sent Abner away, and he went in peace. So this is pretty cool because we're seeing Abner going full force. Like Abner is a loyal person. You can see that. But the thing about loyal people, if you fully and totally break them against you, they're going to be loyal to whoever it is that comes and is your opposite in a way, maybe. But in this case, it worked out well because he went to the side of David and to the side of God. And that's what we need to do. We need to be loyal to God. We need to find where God wants us to be, how God wants us to guide our lives, to guide the things around us, and we need to see through his eyes. All right, so David has now made peace with Abner, and he's set up this kind of sweet deal that loyalty from Abner has given him. And we're going to see next week how that's going to work out. And so we can see what about loyalty that we need to have. We need to make sure that we are loyal to God in all things that he wants us to do. And we need to make sure that we are no longer loyal to sin and our fleshly desires that pull us to do things that are wrong and against God.
Question number 1. What was today's word? The answer is loyal. Question number 2. What does loyal mean? The answer is to support a person. Question number 3, loyalty is blank, not taken. The answer is earned. Question number 4, what is today's buddy check? The answer is, I choose to be loyal to God. Question number 5, what person was the main focus of today's Bible lesson? The answer is Abner. Question number 6. Who did Abner have loyalty to? The answer is Saul. Question number 7. True or false? Abner gave up his loyalty to Saul and gave it to David. The answer is true. Question number 8. David agreed to trust who? The answer is Abner. Question number 9. Where was today's memory verse found? The answer is 2 Timothy 2:13.